Plymouth GTX 440, the brute force of American muscle. When you talk about American muscle cars, there are a few names that instantly come to mind. The Plymouth GTX 440 should be right at the top of that list. It's the automotive equivalent of a heavyweight boxer who can also dance ballet, except it prefers knocking people out. Born in the late 1960s, a time when Detroit was obsessed with horsepower and drag strips, the GTX 440 was Plymouth's way of throwing down the gauntlet. They called it the Boss because, quite frankly, it was. This wasn't just a car, it was a rolling declaration of power. Under the hood, the GTX 440 housed the beast, a 7.2-liter V8 engine capable of cranking out 375 horsepower, and if you opted for the six-pack, you got 390 horsepower. That's right, 3 two-barrel carburetors feeding that behemoth engine, making it growl and snarl at the mere touch of the pedal. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the alimony checks being signed. The design was as aggressive as the engine. The front grille looked like it could inhale lesser cars and spit them out as scrap metal, bulging fenders, a long sweeping hood, and a stance that made it look like it was perpetually ready to leap down the quarter-mile track. It wasn't just a car you drove, it was a car you wore, like a suit of armor. Step inside and you're greeted with an interior that screams function over form. No touchscreens, no digital displays, just good old analog gauges, bucket seats, and a steering wheel that feels like it's connected to the front wheels with a length of chain. The GTX 440 didn't try to coddle you, it challenged you. You had to fight it a bit, wrestle with its muscle, and in doing so, prove yourself worthy. Taking it out on the road was like holding onto a live wire. The power was immediate, violent, and unrelenting. The exhaust note, deep, throaty, and full of menace, would announce your arrival long before you turned the corner. Acceleration? Oh, it could pin you back in your seat with the force of 1,000 angry gods. But let's not kid ourselves. The GTX 440 wasn't built for sophistication. Its idea of handling was plowing straight through a turn with the grace of a runaway freight train. The suspension was rock hard, better suited for straight lines than curves. And the brakes? Well, let's just say stopping it was more of a suggestion than a command. Fuel economy? Forget it. This car drank petrol faster than a sailor on shore leave. But who cares? When you drive a GTX 440, fuel economy is the last thing on your mind. You're too busy relishing the raw, visceral experience of unleashing those horses on an unsuspecting world. Despite its flaws, or perhaps because of them, the Plymouth GTX 440 has earned its place in the pantheon of muscle car legends. It didn't just follow the rules, it smashed them to bits and laughed in their face. And today, well, you'll be pleased to know that the GTX 440 still commands respect at car shows and on the streets. It's a throwback to a time when cars were loud, brash, and unashamedly bold. When you see one, you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at a symbol of an era where too much power was barely enough. So, if you ever get the chance to drive, or even just ride in a Plymouth GTX 440, do yourself a favor and hold on tight. You're in for an experience that's less about getting from A to B, and more about enjoying the wild, untamed ride in between. Trust me, it's a journey you won't soon forget. If you enjoyed this blast from the past, hit that like button and subscribe to Auto Icons. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss out on our automotive adventures. Join us and keep the spirit of muscle cars alive.